Hello, I'm Brittany Marshall. On this edition of Commuter Connections, we'll introduce you to two M.MTA Rail Rodeo champions who represented the agency and won top honors at the APTA International Rail Rodeo Competition in Toronto. In our employee spotlight, you'll meet mother and daughter transportation professionals serving together at M.MTA. We've got your best ride to the upcoming Maryland State Fair and the National Aquarium in Baltimore. And we've got important information that you'll need to know about Real ID. We'll also visit Professor Verne for a look at how bus schedules are developed. All here on Commuter Connections. Two M.MTA light rail link operators won a top honor recently at the 2019 APTA International Rail Rodeo in Toronto. This important competition measures the skill, train operation, and safety knowledge of some of the best rail operators in public transportation. M.MTA's Early Kidd and Eugene Metz won third place in the competition, and we welcome both of them to Commuter Connections. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So how does it feel coming back from Toronto knowing you won third place?
Feels awesome. Feels like we've accomplished something.
And it wasn't your first time at this event. So how was it different from the last?
The last time it was really stringent and it was just intense, but this time it was more relaxed. It was a more relaxed environment, and the training was actual training, and we got to ask questions, and you know, it was a lot more relaxed, a lot more fun.
Yes, that's what it is. As long as you have fun, it was easy to do.
And Eugene, could you tell me just kind of what you guys had to do from when you got there to the end of the competition?
When we get there, we go in the classroom because they teach us on their train, their light rail train, and teachers, we did the inspection of their train, we did the movement of their train, we take a written test, and we do a uniform inspection. And the last time, they didn't really train us through the whole situation. This time we actually was able to understand how to operate their operations.
And could you tell me how nice was it to compete against other people from just around the country?
It was awesome. Everybody was really friendly, and everybody wanted to get to know everybody else. We're all there for a common goal. Mm-hmm. You know, we're all the best of the best from where we're from, so it's just a good time.
And you all won top honors in our local rodeo. So how is that different from this international competition?
Well, the difference is we know our system, but there we have to train and learn their system, their signals, their operation of the train is actually different from ours. So we have to learn that. So and we got to do this in like 2 days.
A short amount of time.
Yes.
How hard was that?
Well, you got to remember a whole lot of stuff.
Yes.
And you have to remember to do this and to do that and to look here and to look there. And when you're home on your own property, not that you don't have to pay attention at home, but you have to pay really close attention to detail when you're on a different property than your own.
Could you tell me what things that you guys learned through operating here in this area that helped you in the competition?
No, you go ahead.
Well, I mean, a train is a train. It's just a different train. So you have the same basic concept, but like I said, it's like their signals are in different places or their tracks are numbered differently. And, little small things like that. But, I mean, once you have your instincts are still the same. You basically have the same rules, like stop means stop and go means go, and don't run anybody over. Things like that.
That's important, right? That's important, right? And when you came back home, what was the reaction from your colleagues and your family when you came home with, third place?
Everybody was happy for it because this is about the highest we ever been in this competition with 17 other states and 2 countries. They was very happy for us.
And what would you say to people who said that they also want to follow in you all's footsteps and do the job that you have?
I would say, come on, let's go. You got 2 good trainers right here, so we're ready.
And are you ready for the next rodeo? You guys ready for the next competition?
Yes, always.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard you say before, stay ready.
Yeah,
you always stay ready, right?
Right. Anytime, any place.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're very proud of you here at M.MTA.
Thank you.
Thank you. M.MTA is proud of the many men and women who provide transit patrons the best service each and every day. Today, we meet two of the many faces behind M.MTA. They're a mother-daughter duo team carrying out the mission of M.MTA.
I'm Jacqueline Jones, and I've been with MTA for 18 years, and I am an A cleaner.
I'm Bianca Traham. I've been at MTA for 8 years, and I work in the Transit Information Contact Center.
I started with MTA in February of 2001. I became a security guard for the MTA police part-time. I continued that until 2008 of August, where I became a A cleaner for the shop at Kirk Division. When I come in, I get rid of the trash, clean the bathrooms, I clean the offices and the lunchroom and any part of the building that needs to be maintained and clean. What I like about my job is that I make my coworkers happy because they're able to come to work in a clean environment, and when they smile, that makes me happy. I really care about people. My daughter always say, "Ma, I think you just care about people too much," but I really care about my job. I care about making people happy.
I came to MTA, of course, because my mom works at MTA. I always heard the great benefits of working for MTA and how you could grow. At the Transit Information Contact Center, I give out information to the public about all 5 modes of transportation that we have here at MTA. I give them from point A to point B on how to go about their daily routines every day. I love my job because when I'm giving out information and sometimes when the customers don't understand or they're lost, I can kind of wheel them back in and get them to where they need to go. And then at the end of my call, I hear them happy and they're smiling because I know that I've eased their pain about where they need to go and how they need to get where they're going. Growing up, my mother has always been a hard-working woman, always. And she always told me to do my best at everything I do.
Oh, I think that influenced her a lot. I told her that the sky is the limit. Anything that she wants in life, she would have to work hard for it.
I was recently nominated for the Administrators Award. When I first heard that I was going to be nominated, it kind of shocked me because I was like, me? No, not me. But after I thought about it, I really put a lot of hard work in working at MTA, and it made me feel honored, and it was a privilege.
I look to advance, to move up to a different position. I look forward to retiring here at MTA.
Well, right now I'm in school for paralegal, so once I do receive my degree, my vision and goal is to work with the legal department here at MTA. You never change the good in you, you only change for the better. So if it's something good in you that people see, you continue to do the good and never change who you are for anyone.
It made me feel good as a parent to see my daughter being awarded the award that she received, and it was just a privilege. I'm just honored that she's my daughter.
Aww.
Coming up next, important information you need to know about Real ID requirements affecting Maryland driver's license and M.MVA issued ID cards. Stay with us. M.MVA is in the middle of a public outreach effort to make you aware of the federally mandated requirements which affect Maryland driver's license and MVA-issued ID cards. I recently sat down with M.MVA Administrator Chrissy Nizer as she explains what all Marylanders need to know about Real ID.
So one of the things we're encouraging customers to do is to go to our website to find out information about Real ID. You can make an appointment to come in one of our branch offices. It's convenient to you. When you come into the branch, what you want to do is look for your appointment check-in sign. That'll get you quickly to the front desk, get you your number so we can get you up to the counter and taken care of quickly.
So my first question to you is, we're talking about Real ID. What's the most important thing right now that people need to know?
So Real ID, it's important to know that it's a federal requirement. It's something that happened after 9/11, that the federal government really felt like all the standards for states issuing driver's license needed to be increased. The big deadline everybody should be aware of is October 1, 2020. At that point, in order to board an airplane or enter a federal facility, you need to have a new Real ID that has a star on it and have documents on file with us. So we encourage all of our customers to go to our Real ID lookup tool, and you can see what your status is. We have documents on file for more than half of our customers. We've got 2 million customers that have a Real ID, so find out if you're in that category. If not, find out what action you need to take to become compliant.
And what is some of that action that people need to be Real ID compliant?
So if you don't have documents on file with us, then you'll need to go through our lookup tool, which will tell you the documents you need. But they're a birth certificate or passport to prove your age and identity, Social Security proof, so that would be your Social Security card, 1099 or W-2, and then 2 proofs of where you live in Maryland. So utility bill, credit card statement, anything from a voter registration card, lots of options when it comes to proving your Maryland address.
And you talked about the lookup tool. Could you explain how that works for people who can't always come to in the office?
Yeah, we're encouraging everybody to go online. We've got a lot of information on Real ID, and one of those things is a lookup tool, which all you need your driver's license number. You enter that number, and it'll tell you if you're already compliant, if you need to bring documents in, if you have any kind of deadline that you need to be aware of. So it's a great information tool to give you to let you know what your status is on Real ID.
And for those who ride MTA who don't have driver's license, how important is it that they are Real ID compliant?
That's a great question. A lot of people focus on driver's license, but Real ID applies to identification cards too. And so it's important for individuals who have a Maryland state-issued ID card to understand that the same rules in terms of showing documents applies to them. So everything that we just talked about in terms of the documents that are needed, making an appointment, they can take advantage of those exact same services to, again, make it as convenient as possible.
And is there anything else you would like to say about the process that we haven't already talked about?
So we're encouraging all customers to really reach out to us. So if you have an issue, you can't locate your document, maybe you were born out of state and you have some circumstances that are particular to you, please reach out to us. Do that through social media, through our call center, through email. We want to help you through the process. We've been very successful in working with Maryland residents. Again, over half of our customers now have documents on file. And so if there's an issue, if you have a deadline coming up, please let us know and we'll walk you through the process. We are looking at how to proactively reach out to all of our customers and let them know what category they fall in. We know the requirements can be confusing, and so we're really trying to break it down and make it as simple as possible.
Coming up next, a look at one of the state's most popular events, the Maryland State Fair. Stay with us. The Maryland State Fair is a tradition that draws people from all corners of the state for the very best in family fun, entertainment, food, and more. It's an event that you certainly don't want to miss. Maryland State Fair Assistant to the General Manager David Gordon joins us with a look at what we can expect at this year's event. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Could you tell me a little bit what's going to be different this year at the Maryland State Fair?
Well, of course, we have all the traditions that people are happy with, but we have a lot of exciting new things this year. If you're a food connoisseur, we've actually extended the Maryland Food Pavilion to also include the Chesapeake Craft Beverage and Wine Bar. So you'll have a beer garden and wine experience there. We also have additional food offerings, including all your favorite Maryland seafood. We've got tacos, we've got Dutch pretzels, crab cakes for certain, and certainly something to delight everybody. We also have an extreme dog show coming this year for those that like to see the flying acrobatics of the dogs. We have a 9-foot tall robot, Max Power, that's going to be walking around the fairgrounds. So if your kids are into the robots and technology, that's something they'll be interested in. We also have a cowboy circus that'll be touring the grounds too. A nice guy who's going to do tricks with lassos and bullwhips and stuff. So we have something for everybody, I think, that'll get them interested.
The Maryland State Fair is all about tradition. Been around for over 100 years. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
The fair started as as a group of farmers back in 1879 that wanted to have a way to showcase Baltimore County's agricultural excellence. And it's grown from there now to what we have today. And it's always centered around tradition. Horse racing was a big part of that, and we still have the races at the fair, as well as agricultural shows, exhibits for homemaking and homewares, and the best that we still have in agriculture today.
And could you tell me just how much is it and when exactly is it?
The price ranges are adults 12 and over are $10 for general admission. Seniors 62 and above are $8. Youth ages 6 to 11 are $5, and youth 5 and under are free. Now that doesn't include the rides. Rides are individually priced, and you can get all this information on our website at www.marylandstatefair.com.
An exact location?
Okay, it is at 2200 York Road in Timonium, Maryland. We have a preview night with Ride Mania on August 22nd, and the full fair opens with all the exhibits and entries on the 23rd of August through September 2nd.
Could you tell me about the pre-night that you're talking about?
So the preview night, that's when a lot of the entries will be moving in and around. So there may be animals on property, but we don't guarantee the full openness of the grounds. And then that's when the carnival really kicks off and has discounted ride bands and stuff for Ride Mania. So if you're interested in riding the rides, that's a good night to come.
Sounds good. And could you tell me a little bit more about the traditional things that people can see that they're used to seeing every year, but some may not?
So as always, we have all the agricultural exhibits on display. So if you like to watch the shows of the agricultural animals, you can certainly do that. You can check the schedule on the website again. We have the You Learn Center, which is a center for kids to experience some agricultural education, as well as a You Learn Food and Fiber, where they can tour the different animals and learn about their production. Always a favorite at the fair is the ice cream stand, so that will still be there for these hot summer days so they can enjoy that. The carnival is a classic, as well as horse racing. All of those things will be going on and have been going on every year for many years, and people will still be able to enjoy all of that this year as well.
And I'm sure you all see so many people. Just how many do you expect this year?
So every year we have about over 500,000 visitors for the state fair. We certainly open our arms, and we'd love to have more if people want to come out.
And when does prep for something like this? 500,000 people, that's a lot.
People always ask us, you only run the fair, what do you do the rest of the year? Well, we have to get ready for the fair.
Exactly.
It's months and months in preparation, and actually as soon as the fair will end this year, we'll start planning for next year.
What's the best way to get there through M.MTA?
The easiest way and most stress-free way is to come on the light rail. There is a stop right at Timonium that will drop you off right at the end of our fairgrounds at one of our major gates. You can come in through there, and that will put you right in the middle of the action with exhibits and animals, right on the line to food, and a straight shot to the midway.
Could you tell us a little bit about the entertainment that we're going to see this year?
So we have 4 national acts coming this year to perform at our Live on Track infield stage. The fun starts off on the first Friday, August 23rd, with pop band Hanson. The next night, we have rock legends, the Marshall Tucker Band. And then the following weekend, on Friday, the 30th, we have the local country duo, Low Cash. And then we round out our concert series on that Saturday with arena rock legends, Night Ranger.
And it's a 2-weekend event.
Yeah, so there's 2 weekends, and it's Friday and Saturday. We have concerts on both of those weekends.
Again, what's you all's website for additional information?
For any of this information, you can go to our website at www.marylandstatefair.com.
Thank you so much. We look forward to the fair this year.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's time to visit Professor Verne, our eccentric but knowledgeable go-to person for an understanding of all things technical and scientific in transportation. On this edition of the program, Professor Verne meets up with M.MTA Administrator Kevin Quinn for a look at how bus schedules are developed.
Professor Verne, how are you? Professor Verne, I feel like I'm in Frankenstein's lab. What is this thing?
Oh, Administrator, Robot and I have been experimenting with the ionization of air molecules using high voltage arcs.
Isn't your assistant a little bit too close to that high voltage thing?
Thank you for your concern, Administrator, but my insulation is certified up to 50,000 volts.
Oh, that's okay, Administrator. Robot likes to brag about how he's superior to us.
All right, well, whatever, Professor Verne. Can you tell me how bus schedules are made?
Great topic, Administrator. I have a mock-up to facilitate our discussion.
Let's check it out.
Okay. Administrator, what we have here is a fictional town with residential communities on the east side and employment centers, shopping centers, and medical facilities on the west side. Now, let's discuss how to make a schedule for a new bus route that will serve this town with an east-west service.
Professor Verne, when do you get the time to build these cool mock-ups?
Actually, Robot built this one.
You're kidding me, Professor Verne.
Do you think I am incapable of such a trivial task?
Quiet, Robot, or I'll unplug your power pack. Now, a lot of data is needed to plan a bus route. We start by establishing the east and west terminal points, and this is based on the locations of housing, employment, and other opportunities. Then, based on data concerning demand, such as employee shift times, we plan the daily start and finish times, also known as the span of service.
How do we know the amount of people we need to carry?
We gather data to help us estimate the demand that the route must satisfy. This allows us to establish the headway, which is the time between buses. Let's say that we plan a 30-minute headway for our new route, but if we see the buses all getting filled up, then we can change it, perhaps to a 20-minute headway.
And how do we plan where the bus stops go?
Well, we gather data about where people live and where they need to go, and this helps us to plan the ideal locations of the bus stops. It's kind of an art, not to plan too many or too few bus stops. Now, the next piece of information we need is the run time, and that's the time it takes a bus to service each stop along the route. We do this for both the eastbound and the westbound trip.
Can you give me an example of runtime?
Let's say that we need to begin our service at 6 a.m. at stop 1. That's also called a time point. And then stop 2 is at 6:07 a.m. And then at 6:40 a.m. is our last or terminal stop. That gives us a westbound run time of 40 minutes. You can kind of see how the schedule is taking shape. Now, we also plan for an additional time at each end to make up for any delays and to give the operator a comfort break. This is called layover or recovery time, and it's typically about 10% of the run time. Now, the next thing we need to know is how long does it take one bus to operate the entire route one time? That's called the cycle time, and it's done by adding the eastbound and westbound run times plus the layover times at each end. Let's say our new route has the same run time of 40 minutes for both westbound and eastbound, and that we plan for a 5-minute layover at each end. Then our cycle time is 90 minutes. Now, if we divide our 90-minute cycle time by our 30-minute headway, it tells us we need 3 buses to operate our service.
Wow, you're really schooling me today, Professor Verne.
That's my job, Administrator. Now, there's one more piece of information we need to build our schedule, and that's the deadhead time.
Deadhead? That doesn't sound good.
Let me explain. The time it takes a bus to travel to and from the bus garage is called the deadhead time. Let's say our deadhead time is 10 minutes. Now, the time that the bus leaves the garage is called the pullout time. So, if we need to start service at 6 a.m., then we schedule our pullout for 5:50 a.m. Now, we can make our schedule, and that's called trip building. Our new service will operate trips beginning at 6 a.m. with buses arriving every 30 minutes. Now, once we identify all the east and west trips that we need throughout the day, then we can build the blocks.
But what is a block?
Administrator, think of a block as a bus assigned to a trip. Since our new service needs 3 buses, we will schedule 3 blocks. Block 1 is scheduled to start service at 6 a.m. Block 2 is scheduled to start at 6:30, and Block 3 is scheduled to start at 7 a.m. At 7:30 a.m., Block 1 will have operated across the entire route and will be scheduled to depart westbound from the first stop. So, our 3 blocks will be scheduled to fulfill all the trips throughout the day, and that's how we make a schedule.
Professor Verne, I can't thank you enough for explaining how bus schedules are made. You take something so complex and make it sound so simple.
My pleasure, Administrator.
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
Administrator, don't you have other appointments?
Always when I'm trying to have fun.
Come Coming up next, a look at one of the region's most exciting attractions, the National Aquarium in Baltimore. The National Aquarium in Baltimore is known as a tourist staple in the city. It has some of the world's most interesting sea life on display. And the National Aquarium's Tours and Experience Specialist, Staley Harris, joins us for a look at what you can find this summer. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Could you tell us some of the new things that's going on now at the National Aquarium?
We have a lot of really amazing newer exhibits. One of my personal favorites is Black Tip Reef. It is our representation of an Indo-Pacific reef. I've got about 80 different species living in there, so everything from tiny little reef fish all the way up to top predators. There's sharks, rays, even a 500-pound sea turtle. Living in there. So it's one of my favorites. Additionally, for those who want to dive a little deeper behind the scenes, we do offer different tours and experiences. Everything from, getting into some animal care spaces, learning about how we care for the animals, to a shark catwalk over our Shark Alley exhibit that's really amazing. And then for all ages, we have a dolphin tour where you get to participate in dolphin enrichment with our colony of Atlantic bottlenose dolphins.
All right, can you tell me a little bit more about that and making sure it's more of an educational experience for people?
Absolutely. Our mission is to inspire the conservation of the world's aquatic treasures. So it's really at the heart of everything we do, whether it be from the design of our habitats and exhibits to the programming that we run. It's all about that mission. So at the heart of what we do is conservation, making sure that we're doing our best to inspire our guests who come. So, not just seeing really amazing animals, but also learning then about those specific species, their roles in the ecosystems, and then the humans' roles in impacting those ecosystems as well.
It's been part of the city for so many years. Can you tell me, when was the aquarium put in the city?
We opened our doors in '81. So actually this month we're celebrating our 38th anniversary.
Awesome. And could you tell me just some of the staples that people go to see that?
Well, as I mentioned, Black Tip Reef is my personal favorite, but we also have several other award-winning exhibits. The Living Seashore is an area where guests love to spend a lot of time. It's our most interactive habitat. We have touch pools there, so lots of our local neighboring animals like horseshoe crabs, moon jellies, stingrays. It's a really neat space for our guests to connect with these animals that you may see when you visit the beach next time. So it's a cool opportunity to get really hands-on with them. We have incredible staff in that area too, who are there not just to facilitate the touching, of course, but also, like I said, to really build those connections between our guests and those animals and the ecosystems.
And something new, an Animal Care and Rescue Center.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Our Animal Care and Rescue Center opened up about a year ago. Actually, we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary of that building. It's just a few blocks away from the National Aquarium. It's in Jonestown here in Baltimore. So it's a new space that allows us to house animals in quarantine areas. We have a holding area for training and observation, and then of course a rescue area as well. So we did celebrate the release of a few seals who were in recovery in our Animal Care and Rescue Center this year. So it's a really cool building. And it is open now to the public as well. We offer tours on Saturdays and Sundays.
And how much does it cost to visit the rescue center?
The Animal Care and Rescue Center tour is $35 for our members. It's $45 for non-members. It does not include admission to the main building though, so it's just for that specific ACRC experience.
And for the main building?
The main building is $39.95 for adults, $29.95 for children 3 to 11. 2 and under are free. If you're local, especially, a membership would definitely be, in my opinion, the best value.
And tell me about membership.
You can purchase it on our website. That's aqua.org. You can also purchase it on site.
All right. How much does a membership cost?
There are lots of different levels for different sizes. So there's individual memberships, dual memberships, family.
And you were talking about how much it costs to get in, but there are some different days that
yes,
it has
we do
different
a
prices?
lot of different programs throughout the year. One thing that runs consistently throughout the year though is Fridays after 5, where prices take a dive. They're half price after 5 p.m. on Friday evenings. So that's a really great program.
How long does the aquarium stay open though?
It varies throughout the season. So our operational hours do change, depending on whether it's a peak season, weekend, weekday. All of that information is on our website at aqua.org. We do offer free field trips for schools in Maryland. They just have to send a teacher as a representative to a 1-day workshop, and then those schools are eligible to bring their students to visit us for free.
Awesome. And for those who ride public transit, what's the best way to get there?
There are several ways. I know the light rail, the subway, and bus routes will all actually take guests within walking distance of the aquarium.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much for having me.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of another edition of Commuter Connections. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.